What is going on, everybody? Thank you for jumping on in here on this Sunday night of carnage. Caught a lot of people off guard, baby. That weekend pump dump, they caught us. I bumped up the leverage on my trade and got absolutely wrecked. So, and not wrecked, but hey, we're down on the trade. We're a little underwater. I'll consider cutting it off later in the event that it gets much worse than that. Man, this was a crazy liquidation move. They went after the shorts, they went after the longs, and yeah, I just happen to be one of the long people up here. It happens to the best of us, everybody. Sometimes we long the top. It is what it is. It's okay. All right, so how do we get out of this thing? And I'm looking at Sui specifically. Shoulder, head, right shoulder. That really is the only way I see out of this. Otherwise, I see more downside. In the event we crack that low, I'll cut my losses and I'll reevaluate the situation. This has been an absolutely crazy market to be in, and I'll be honest with you guys. One of the most tilting charts in crypto, is it not Bitcoin dominance? Look at this thing. This thing continues on a skyrocket rampage. Nothing could take this thing down. It's like you get the most bearish signals, 3 black crows, and then you get three white soldiers, and Bitcoin dominance is just screaming to the upside. We do have a little bit of bearitive on the, what was that? On the, it was on the 5-minute time frame earlier. Yeah, a little bit of bearitive on the 5-minute time frame. Never came to fruition, and this thing just continues to be an unstoppable horse. It's like, it's just kind of, this thing needs to make a lower high. It really does, and it needs to happen in this region between 64 and 64.7. If it does not, that dream of the alt season can die very, very quickly. We cracked that high. And let me zoom on out here and show you guys what I'm talking about. We cracked this high. That invalidates a lot of the, the alt season thesis. Look at this on the weekly. That is a very, very strong candle. We didn't even touch the 21 moving average. The 21-week moving average, that is actually insane. Out of the inverted cup and handle, speculating on this dropping to the downside. Let's look at it from a fib perspective. And we're coming up to that area where we have to get a rejection. We have to get a rejection for alts. If we do not get that rejection, and this goes and tests these highs, a lot of the altcoins can actually, I don't want to say they'll die, but you got to wonder how many of those coins are going to be lasting. I don't think a lot of coins are going to last through this. I really don't. And that includes Sui. That includes a lot of coins, some of the coins in the top 10. Of course, they're going to be hanging around, but we really need to see a lower high come in here for Bitcoin dominance. If we do not, that could lead to massive carnage in the markets for the altcoins. And as you guys know, I'm underwater, baby. I am underwater, drowning in this long right now. Earlier, I took profits on the 3x long, on Sui, and I longed the top, baby. It was like 99, 399. Look at this. Yeah, it was like right up here. Right up here. Got long and strong, baby. Was feeling really, really good with the charts. We had the bull flag. The breakout looked absolutely awesome. We dropped beneath that 1-minute 200 SMA, and we went on a trip to the depths. So it's very, very key that we reclaim this here, even as we're losing it, man. The alts are just losing steam. Over the course of the day, despite it being green, the last 4 hours, we're just heading on Nuke City, baby. Nuketown. For those of you guys who play Call of Duty, this is not looking good for the altcoins, and it is imperative that Bitcoin dominance puts in a lower high in this region, and it needs to happen fast. Look at this 1 hour time frame, just on a screaming moonshot to the upside, and we saw this reversal the other night, and this is the prior high here. If you don't get a rejection, let me get this out of here. If you don't get a rejection here at this 618-786, you got to assume that you're coming back for the highs, and you got that rejection off the 618. Is that going to hold? It really, Bitcoin dominance looks so strong right now. You do have a little bit of bear div here on the 1 hour, but that's assuming that it starts curling over. The stochastics are cooked, but this is a train that just does not want to seem to turn around to the downside. And even as we've seen it before, like when dominance starts to round off, you don't get, these are very, very strong. These are strong impulses to the upside. So this 618/786, this area has to hold for me. If this area doesn't hold for me, I'm gonna kind of scrap my idea on that inverted cup and handle. Like that's the point at where I'm at, where I'm gonna really start, shifting money from the altcoins into Bitcoin and just say, hey, I'll just be like, hey, I'd rather have my money in Bitcoin than in the alts, and I'll kind of lose that thesis of alt season, baby. I'll have to do it. I'll have to be like, cut my ties. I'll be like, hey, I was wrong. I didn't, you know, my analysis was incorrect. It looked good from a technical analysis perspective, but man, this is starting to really get on my nerves here. Like this bearish engulfing candle about to be like their bulls are trying to engulf this here. On the weekly last week, we had one of the biggest weeks, baby. Yeah, new haircut reviews, new haircut. What's up, man? Yeah, we went a little shorter. It is pretty high here in Texas. We got to get the cold one ready to go. Yeah, so it's a little hot here in Texas, so we're trying something a little new, baby, a little new, a little shorter. It is what it is. You know, it looks pretty good, I think. It looks good. I'm gonna try and grow the beard out a little longer, baby. Get that Viking look. It'll look hot. It'll look really hot. This nasty kid gonna be in this chat posting eggplants and stuff. All right, let's dive on in. Let's start what we do every single day. All right, let's take a breath. Let's take a breath. Today, a relatively good day for crypto. I mean, for virtuals, it really was a good day. A screamer to the upside just 24 hours ago, sitting at 165, currently sitting at 190. But a lot of coins, despite it being a, you know, whipsaw day for crypto, sitting about where they were, you know, just slightly above where they were yesterday. And that's, you know, that's looking okay. That's looking okay. But let me get rid of Sui here. I don't want that to distract me from my analysis, man. That's so frustrating, right? The price action we've seen today, that massive pump dump on the 4 hour, we got out of it, guys. We got out of it. And you could say, hey, this is a retest of the flag. Could it be? Yeah, absolutely. But that candle was nasty to the downside. That was a nasty candle to the downside. We also did get some credit rating, right? A lot of the credit rating being downgraded in the United States here. So that wasn't really good, especially as futures open. That was not good for Bitcoin. And that led to that dumpage. All right, let's look at this on the daily. Still looking okay, and we don't really know how this flag is shaping out. You can say, oh, it already shaped out, and that's a breakout, boys, crypto. But with that tail to the upside does not speak a clear story to me. To me, I have to take this right now, and it was originally a flag idea, but now I'm kind of seeing this as a range. I see us bing-bonging around in here for a little bit. We're still maintaining above the point of control at a 103,800. And was that a liquidity sweep just to get the longs out of there? It definitely could have been. I see this flag exploding at some point to the upside. Like the last big move out of a flag we had for Bitcoin was 6%. And Bitcoin's been, you know, fumbling around in here in a range that is about 2%. You know, not much to go on in here. You know, the 4 hour does tell a little bit of a story. We're sitting about the 50, you know, the 50 level for the RSI. But I'm really not liking what I'm seeing for the altcoins just based off Bitcoin dominance just going on its rampage. It's very rare to see a chart just continually scream to the upside, like ignoring all bearish TA. Like we were so bearish here. We were so bearish. Currently getting rejected by the 4 hour. That's okay. But, you know, we came up to the 618786. This has to reject. This has to be the rejection point here for Bitcoin dominance for the altcoin bulls, baby. If not, the alts are in trouble. I will say that. And you could really get wrecked here if you're overindulged in the altcoins and Bitcoin dominance does decide to start squeezing that 70, 80, 90% level. And for those of you who don't think Bitcoin dominance can do it, it definitely can. Ask yourself, like, is your coin really necessary? You know, in the bigger picture of things, I don't know. I see Bitcoin. I know Bitcoin's going to be here in 40 years. Like, does dominance scream up to 90%? You know, you never know. You never know. It's interesting. It's interesting. Thank you, everybody, for hopping on into the chat. I'm just kind of baffled by price action here. What's going on, my lady? Just kind of baffled by price action. But thank you for everybody for hopping on into the chat with me. MH Reviews, April, Wanda. Thank you, guys. Thank you for being here. Drop your coins in the chat. We're going to go over everything piece by piece here, piece by piece. And we're going to see if Bitcoin can get out of this, losing this 5-minute 200 MA now, as well as the one. That's not a good sign after a nice reversal that we had earlier in the day. Man, this was a crazy candle to the downside. I do not like this candle. How many big bearish candles do you see like this that have almost engulfed the previous one that have not continued in massive dumpage to the downside? Like this candle right here is a great example. Like we had a massive bearish engulfing into the down. Man, that is frustrating. That is frustrating. But the chart above all else, and that needs to reject right here, is Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance needs to make a turnaround. Look how overbought we got here on the 7, and you're screaming in the overbought territory and on a lot of these time frames here. The 1 hour showing bearish divergence. I just can't stop staring at Bitcoin dominance right now, because if this chart does not reject, in all honesty, I think the alts will start declining as Bitcoin continues its monumental run. And I don't know if we'll get that alt season if this 618786 region does not reject. Very, very important in the charts. All right, so here we go. Let's look at it, man. Even as we start, we're just getting absolutely, bamboozled here. Bamboozled in this chart. Bamboozled. All right, so that's Bitcoin in a nutshell. I see this as a range on the daily time frame, and I'm going to go with that thesis until it is invalidated, right? Until we get a candle body close above either 104.8, until we get either a close above 100 and 4,800. And I'm not saying that this candle can't close. We have 2 hours. Bitcoin, a 1% move for Bitcoin in 2 hours is absolutely nothing. The stochastics are starting to reset here on the daily. That does give me some hope for continuation to the upside. The 21 moving in the price action. But yeah, it could go either way, ladies and gentlemen. Honestly, going up into this upcoming weekend, the Monday being low liquidity and not a lot of news coming out this week. That is very, very true. Let me look at the U.S. economic calendar here. There wasn't a lot that was popping up on my radar this week. A lot of Fed presidents speaking from different areas of the world, all the way up through Wednesday. Thursday, we had the initial jobless claim. PMI, I don't think that's going to be a gigantic market mover this week, although it is, one of the only news events that is coming out this week. Interesting. Jerome Powell speaks on Monday, the 25th. So a lack of news this week, lack of bullish momentum, right, for the or bullish or bearish momentum from the news point of view. So that's really, really interesting. All right. Let's dive on into the chat, guys. I want to hop on into the things that you guys are finding interesting as we go on throughout the evening. I do not want to see that 5-minute 200 SMA continue to get invalidated here. We need to see a swing up on Bitcoin dominance, Bitcoin lower highs, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. And, we need to get out of here in some way, shape, or form for BTC. Very important here in the near term, as we have read all across the board in the last 4 hours. This has been absolute carnage in the market. It is imperative that this gets reversed. Even Ethereum taking the nukage from $2,600 down to almost $2,300 in the last 4-hour time frame. Very, very, very important to keep our eyes on as we go on into this agent trading session. All right, let's hop on in. All right, you love the new cut, April. I appreciate it. Alt's looking good. Reviews, so they'll start pushing. All right, we'll see, brother. We'll see. Let's take a look at virtuals. One of the hotter coins in the market now, even despite this dump that we had. Let's look at this here. All right, so virtuals, let's look at it on the daily here. Virtuals looking very, very strong. Very, very strong. I think the AI narrative is definitely going to come back with a vengeance here. I really do. I think the AI narrative is going to take over this space absolutely massively. The first thing that I'm seeing here, Wanda, is this beautiful set of hidden bullish divergence. You have that swing down on price action. You had bearish divergence originally right here on the daily, but the dump wasn't so sufficient that you could not prevent hidden bullish divergence from forming. So this hidden bearish divergence suggests you break this low before you break this high. But the bulls had enough positive price action in this area with the 21 coming up in the price action that you eventually formed hidden bullish divergence, where you have a swing down on price action while you have a swing up on price action while you have a swing down on the RSI. Higher low, mid on price action, right, with a lower low created on the RSI. That's hidden bullish divergence, suggesting now that you're going to crack that 220 level before you crack 127. And I know what you're thinking. Boys Crypto, that's a wild range. That's the altcoins for you, baby. That's why we're in this space. Wild price action here for virtuals. Just in the past, in the past 15 days, you've swung some of these candles 31% to the upside, 27% to the downside, 61% to the upside, 20% to the downside, all in the past 2 weeks. That is volatility in a nutshell. Bitcoin dominance continuing to scream, man. This is absolutely crazy. I can't keep my eyes off the chart. It's absolutely wild. But yes, we do need a turnaround for Bitcoin dominance sooner rather than later, and you're going to see this continue to be red, and like the altcoins are going to continue to bleed. There's really not a lot talking like that's screaming to me that the altcoins are not going to continue to bleed in the event that we do not get a reversal right now. Like we have to get a reversal right now for Bitcoin dominance, right? We rejected off the 618. We made that low, and now you got to, you could pull a microfib here. You got to put in a lower high at the 618 here. If you don't, the danger of that 618 getting invalidated is incredibly high. Look at these 5-minute candles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You don't see that in a lot of other charts. You just don't see it. You do not see it. And a very bearish candle on the 1 hour getting followed by a bullish engulfing candle getting over the 1 hour 200, the 2 hour 200 SMA. Now you'll come up to the 3. If the 3 gets broken, then you're going to come up to the 4. And the 4 is just sitting right above us. Let's see if that 4 hour 200 SMA can hold. It needs to hold for Bitcoin dominance. It is, in my opinion, the most important chart in crypto right now, right? If you are an altcoin holder, just 1.5% away from the highs. Bitcoin dominance is a moving truck or a moving train that honestly does not seem like it can get stopped. This thing could rip up here and we could be testing the highs throughout the night. And, you know, we wake up tomorrow morning, we could be sitting at 6.5% on a massive moonshot for Bitcoin dominance. Not what we want to see, not what we want to see. Even Virtual's taking a little bit of a blunder here on the 1 minute time frame, starting to roll over. All the altcoins likely doing the same. Let's look at total 3 real quick. Total 3, baby. Total 3. So Virtuals does look pretty good, right? In the aspect of the entire crypto market. But you're gonna need Bitcoin dominance to get a little bit of a pump a lump here, Wanda. You need it to happen. You need it to happen fast. A lot of these coins, the total altcoin market cap down about 4% today. That is massive. That is a massive drop for the altcoin market cap. This does not look good. This doesn't look good to me. Right? You could take a fib from the swing high to the swing low, and this is the high back here at 940. You came up and got a 0.5% retrace. You did bounce off support, but you're looking to test it again. I fear for the altcoins now, everybody. I have to tell you, I fear for the altcoins right now. If this bounce does not hold for the altcoins, it could be absolute massive danger. And for those of you who don't think Bitcoin can pump without the altcoins, the dominance is suggesting otherwise. Even as a year, we tick up, we tick up, we tick up. The 1 minute going on a cataclysmic rampage to the upside. Total 3, breaking beneath the 1 hour 200 SMA, retesting it. And yeah, it's not looking good. And it was a completely different story. You know, 4 hours ago? Right? 4 hours ago, 8 hours ago or so, it was a completely different story. We were rocketing off a very, very nice support zone. And, you know, we zoom on out here. You know, this was a beautiful, beautiful zone. You know, resistance, resistance, support, 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 likely to get a bounce there. And now we're dropping beneath the daily 200 SMA. To drop beneath the daily 200 SMA on total 3 would be one of the most bearish things that I think could possibly be in the crypto space. It really is. We come down here and test, you know, the inverted shoulder, head right shoulder breakout, but can we really, you gotta wonder, you have to wonder, right? Like the amount of faith that's in this space, in the altcoins, you need retail interest in order for these things to pump. So if we're not gonna get that retail interest, if we're not going to get that retail interest, altcoins could start to waver off here. It is very, very true. All right, here, diving on into the chat. So total 3 looks okay. You're still in a series of higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, but breaking beneath that daily 200 SMA, I really, really want to see this close above the daily 200 SMA in the next hour and 39. That would be really, really good for me. 877.33. We're sitting just above it right now. I would like to see a little bit of a stronger candle, preferably a daily bullish engulfing candle here for total 3. You're going to need to see that. You want to see a reclaim of that. You want to see that 200 MA hold as support, and then we can get that rocket shot to the upside. Held as support, rocket shot. You know, and I can't tell you guys how baffled I am at the price action today. Even on a Sunday, it was a cataclysmic day in the market. So, yeah, daily 200 SMA. We want to close above that at 877.3. We'll see how that closes in the next hour or so. For all the cryptos outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum taking a massive nukage to the downside as dominance continues to scream. We'll see if this could start rolling over here. I would love to see it start rolling over. It has to happen. It has to happen sooner rather than later. Coming up, we got the 618 reaction. That's exactly how it would happen. From swing high here, from swing high to swing low, getting the 618 retrace, and then a drop to the downside. That's what you want to see for Bitcoin dominance here. This is how it would begin in the event that we are going to get the macro 618 right here to hold. That is very, very crucial here. And I know we're looking at the 1 minute time frame, but it's imperative that you understand that the 1 minute time frame leads into the 3, which leads into the 5, right? And it leads into all other time frames. So the 1 minute chart is really where it begins. If we're going to create a lower high here, this is likely where it's going to happen. Bearish divergence suggested that we crack this low, and it needs to happen before we crack this high. You do have a set of hidden bullish divergence in here as well. So wishy-washy here for Bitcoin dominance. I want to see that roll over. Very, very imperative for the altcoins as we go throughout the night. And I know we're looking at smaller time frames, but we're pushing limits right now. We are pushing limits for Bitcoin dominance. We want to see that roll over, and we want to see it roll over very, very quickly. All right, diving on in the chat. We looked at virtuals. We looked at total 3. We are all talking to AI nowadays. Yeah. Yeah, that's true, man. Yeah, the AI sector. So nice to see it on the 15-minute time frame, man. Getting a little bit of a push to the upside. Imperative that we saw that. But on the hour, we're still struggling. Ever since man, come on, Sui. Get up there, baby. Get up there. I'm so frustrated at Sui's price action. I'm not going to lie to you guys, right? You guys can see the trade that I made on X, man. It was a cataclysmic nightmare today for the Sui chain. Very, very true. Yeah, we got up to like $4 or so, the high, and then just disaster to the downside, right? So we'll check in on Sui a little later. Or you know what? Let's look at it now. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about for Sui, right? So Sui was looking like an absolute cataclysmic nightmare. Right now, I have it in the shoulder, head, right shoulder. Potential reversal here for Sui, and I'm not being overall bullish. I am a little nervous based off of price action. This dumpage to the downside was insane. It was absolutely insane. But we do have a shoulder, head, right shoulder that is looking to break out here, and that can take us back up from once we came back up here about 393. I'd still be underwater on the trade. Man, you guys got me hot, baby. Got me hot. I gotta take this off. It's Sunday night, right? We can still have a little bit of a more chill environment. But yeah, this shoulder, head, right shoulder can kick us back up here, and there's definitely shorts that are in the game right now that are looking to get squeezed here. I want to remain above the 1 minute 200 SMA. We've just reclaimed it, likely to come up here and test the 3 out of the inverted shoulder, head, right shoulder. And I'll be honest with you guys, this is why trading takes such discipline, right? Like, I'm frustrated at myself today from longing the high. And it wasn't like, okay, it's not like I'm taking net worth and being like, I'm putting everything on it, baby. And go hard or go home. But any kind of trade, I don't like to lose. Nobody likes to lose, right? And getting in at the highs is like one of the most tilting things to me, man. I got in right at that white line, essentially. So I'm sincerely, I don't want to say hoping for, but looking for a recovery here in the altcoins as we go throughout the night. Bitcoin needs a bounce, and we're still in that range, and it would not be a surprise to me if we did get the rocket shot for Bitcoin as soon as tomorrow, right? Bitcoin goes and takes the highs, and, you could see this total 3 market cap go on a cataclysmic rampage on the 1 hour as it has before. Most of the time, before you get those big movements to the upside, you have a sell-off, and then you have a cup and a handle, sell-off here, sell-off, cup, handle, and then you got that monumental, monstrous move to the upside, and this happened in about, a day, 2 days? So could that happen for total 3? Absolutely. And as we come back up closer to that all-time high region, I'm talking about that, $1.1 trillion level, that candle looking a little stronger right now, about $1 billion since we've been talking here, been injected into the altcoins. Very, very nice. So as we come back up here, this is still our double top region, up here at about 1.13 trillion. I think if we could get the reversal and we could start gapping up here through the VRVP and Bitcoin does make that monumental move, I think that the trip over this level right here is going to be very, very quick, right? Like once we get here, that's going to be the FOMO level for altcoins. Let me remind you that even though back here in 2021, right? And I know I'm kind of all over the place, guys. I'm just baffled by price action. I'm not going to lie to you guys, but thank you for being here with me. But we have this from back in 21. Box of Remembrance, absolutely beautiful. That's where we're averaging in, ladies and gentlemen. We'll always remember that. All right, so I'm not really concerned, right, from our entry point, or from our entry standpoint. We're looking hot, baby. We're looking hot. But this is a double top, right? This is a double top. And, you know, we've rejected since then. We came back to a key fib from the swing low to the swing high. We got the 706 holding us up, and now we're looking for continuation to the upside. Higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. So we are still looking for continued upside price action here for Total 3, but the difference between Total 3 and BTC is Bitcoin was trading at $60,000 back here. Bitcoin is trading at $100,000 right here. So Bitcoin has really robbed the altcoins of a lot of their glory. It really has. Bitcoin is almost double as valued where it was back here in 2021. That's important to remember. However, if we get the push above here, I think once we crack, I don't even know if we'd get a retest, honestly, but once we crack that high, I think this could be a move that will not soon be forgotten. That will be the true alt season, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very important to understand that. Like, once we break that prior high, like, you could look at things like XRP, right? When XRP breaks 330, I think there's going to be a monumental surge in the ecosystem. That is very, very true. I think for a lot of the things that go and revisit prior highs, think of your favorite altcoin. Whenever it reaches its prior highs, if this chart is reaching the prior highs at about that point, you could expect a very, very monstrous parabolic move. Look what happened back here. You know, once you get above this level, right, and I just marked this on my chart here, you know, this $346 billion level. Once you clear it, right, you got the clear, you got the retest, you had some choppy price action in here, but eventually when you got some footing here and reclaim this as support, and you did reclaim this as support based off the daily candles right here, you went on a monstrous move to the upside for your average altcoins, and this was back here in 2021, a 176% pump for your average altcoin since cracking the high, and it only took about 2.5 months, so I see a season like that looming on the horizon. But Bitcoin dominance needs to make that reversal. It is very, very true. If Bitcoin dominance continues to skyrocket, we'll lose the daily 200 SMA, come back into this box of remembrance, and then we're kind of going to be living on a prayer. We made a higher high here, so where would you look at getting in, right, from the swing low to the swing high? You could look at coming down here into the 770 region, 730 region, but I do not want to see that happen for the altcoins. It is imperative that they get some footing here and push to the upside as we go, not throughout the night, but the rest of this week. And it's crazy to see Bitcoin is sitting exactly where it is. And look at your favorite altcoin on the weekly. Although Bitcoin has been sitting at about that $103,000, $104,000 level, most of the altcoins are down 10 to 20% this week. Very, very important to understand that Bitcoin is still running this show. And this is despite dominance taking a cataclysmic downturn, a downturn to the downside, baby. Over the past 7 days, that weekly bounce on Bitcoin dominance has been insanely devastating to the altcoins. Oh, hey, Chris, what's going on? Hey, thank you for jumping on in the chat, guys. I'm absolutely hyped to be here with you guys today on this Sunday, baby, on this Sunday. Drop your favorite coins in the chat. We're going to keep hopping on through them, baby. I got some more time tonight on this Sunday night. The ladies hanging out here with their sisters. So, yeah, we're just chilling, guys. We're just chilling. All right, MH wants to look at XRP. I'd be happy for you, brother. Or I'd be happy to do that for you, brother. Let's look at XRP. The people's coin, the XRP army. Shout out to you if you are in the XRP army. And I will say this, right? Although, you know, the previous weeks have been tough, right? Ever since, you know, the end of March, it's been tough here for XRP holders for sure. And you could argue that this is an accumulation zone, but you had a massive rocket shot when most of the alts are sitting, a lot of the alts are sitting at their bear market lows, and XRP went on a cataclysmic 5x from the lows, 574% gain in almost no time, in about 2 months. So that was a monumental move for XRP. Shout out to XRP holders in the game. And now we went over XRP a couple times over here in the charts, but there have been some unique developments here, some very, very unique developments. And I think XRP is on the cusp of a massive move, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. All right, the two levels that I want to point out on the chart is the point of control, the high volume node, and this daily 200 SMA, right? For those of you who watch this channel, Chris, thank you for being here, brother. I am a big 200 SMA trader. You're above the daily 200 SMA. To me, that's go time, baby. You are good to go. You crack above the daily 200 SMA. Look at your favorite coin. When you get above the red line, look what happens. You get above the red line, pumpage, baby. You get below the red line, you're in trouble. So it's a very, very simple way to understand the macro of whatever coin that you're looking at. Are you above the 200 MA? Good sign. If you're below the 200 MA, caution, right? Very, very important. And that's why I talked about it over here on Total 3. That's why I talked about it over here on Total 3, because we're battling that level right now, and it is imperative. It is imperative Total 3 does close this candle above, in the next hour and 28 minutes, above 877.35, because that's that line in the sand for me, brother. This could be the retest, but that's that line in the sand saying, hey, we lost this and we struggled ever since. We tried to reclaim, the bears stepped in, and we struggled ever since we've been beneath the daily 200 SMA. But on the altcoins, you reclaim that daily 200 SMA, and you could go on a rocket shot to the upside. Doesn't happen every time, but it is a very, very, very wise idea in my opinion. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't give financial advice, but when you crack above that daily 200 SMA, you open up a long, baby, and you put a stop beneath the prior low, and you are looking at a very hot macro trade, right? In the event that you even get stopped out of, 3 out of 4 of these, regardless, it does not matter, right? On XRP here, you could have gotten, how many of these trades do you need to get right for you to be a profitable trader, just from a simplicity standpoint, right? This was an 11-to-1 risk-reward ratio trade, right? And you could have even taken it further. Look at this, to the highs here for total crypto market cap, right? But from the highs on your favorite altcoin, you crack above that level, and I'm not saying you would have gotten at exactly the low or the highs, right? But even if you got in when you got above the 200 SMA and got out when you got below it, that's a 6-to-1 risk-reward ratio trade that would have been in the money the entire time just looking at that red line. Very, very, very cool to see for Bitcoin. And it's not going to happen every time. It's not going to happen every time. Sometimes you get some chop city around it. But I will tell you this, if you do, just look at that level whenever you're trading, it's going to be very, very helpful in determining a macro bias. I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you. All right, XRP. Looks good to me, and here's why it looks good. Here's why it looks good to me. We're still above that daily 200 SMA. It looks good, and it has served as support once, twice, looking very, very good. However, the bulls have struggled here. The bulls have massively struggled to reclaim the area of 242. The number we've said every time we've looked at XRP on the charts over the past couple of weeks, it is imperative that the bulls reclaim this level as support. And it looked really, really good. This candle looked beautiful, and we did take a nice scalp long for XRP, and we did get out, and we did get out of that there on Blowfin, baby, and it looked really, really good. That's over there on my X. Follow me for all my trading insights. Everything that I do, I post it on X at BOYCECRYPTO102. Follow along. Right now, I'm a little underwater in the trade, man, but you're gonna see my winners, you're gonna see my losers, and see full transparency for you, for you, brother. Yeah. So looks good here for XRP. So yeah, just if you want to go into my X and follow me, man, I greatly appreciate it. I greatly appreciate it. But right now, you are pinned in a dangerous range, right? And I'm not talking dangerous from the bulls or the bears perspective, but I think the move that comes out of this range is going to be incredibly violent for XRP. And the range I'm talking about is between 220 and 242, less than 10%. A less than 10%, margin here for XRP. Trade ideas for XRP, and I'll give you a long and I'll give you a short, baby. You fall beneath this daily 200 SMA and retest it, you could open up a short, and the short would pay you dividends, in my opinion, right? The likelihood of the short paying dividends with a stop above the high volume node would be huge, because where would your first target be? Well, the ball rolling down the hill scenario that we talk about all the time on the channel, you could come down here and start rolling pretty hard, all the way down to $1.50. For those of you who don't think it could happen, it definitely can, based off the VRVP. How many times has it played out for us here, on this channel? That would be a beautiful 3-to-1 risk-reward ratio trade if you're looking for a short on XRP. Now, right now, in the current market conditions, I am not looking to short the market, but I'm not going to be getting into XRP here with that high volume node rearing its head directly above us once the bears have taken control. How many times? Once, twice, twice, 3 times, 4 times here for the bears. And you can even argue 5 times from back here. So the bears have clear control over this range. Even over the course of the day, we have not been able to push over and close above that level as of right now, on the charts here for XRP. And, being beneath this level, that does represent a relatively good short opportunity, in my opinion. you know, in the event that you can take it now, right? And take, you know, put the stop beneath the prior high and then go down to one of those high volume nodes, a beautiful risk reward ratio trade. But I wouldn't be long in XRP here. What would I be waiting for? Well, you are creating a higher low. That looks good from a fib perspective. It also looks really good, but I'd have to see, you got the 618 bounce, looks good from yesterday. I would have to see, for me as a trader, I would have to see us reclaim that high volume node, retest it, show me that the bulls are in control and all along this puppy, but I can't do that. I did just 2 days ago. You guys can see it over there on X. I did with this candle and rode it to the upside. That was a beautiful move. However, you know, it's hard for me to get behind any asset beneath the high volume node until the bulls prove to me that they are in control. So a trade idea, you break above, you come back to retest. The bulls have that. Then you get that little bounce, right? That confirmation. And then what are you looking for? Well, now my stop's beneath what? The daily 200 SMA and the high volume node there. And where are you going to take it? You know, for XRP, I think if you bounce from here, this is the last really key level of resistance before 313. In my opinion, you come back up to 313, you crack that, you're going to test the highs. So you can either take profit at 313, a 3-to-1, the prior highs, which is a beautiful 4-to-1, or you could be really aggressive and you could take, hey, I think this is the bottom for XRP, right? And you could look at that as a beautiful scalp long position. What am I looking for here? Or your Fibonacci extension tool. From your swing high to your swing low, where's your next high likely going to be? It's going to be up here at your 1.618 golden pocket Fibonacci extension. You know, at the 1.618 at about $4.50. Can that happen? Absolutely for XRP. And that would represent an 8.7-to-1 risk reward ratio trade. It looks juicy to me, baby. Looks juicy to me, but I cannot and will not take a long on XRP until the bulls can show me that they have control of that high volume node. They did briefly for a fraction of a day and then got absolutely wrecked by the bears. So I would definitely watch this area here between 220 and 240. You are in a tight zone for XRP, and there's really not a lot to me. This was a giant range. You had deviation beneath the range. You got up and you had deviation above the high. You know, you came back in. This is a nice little range. You get above the point of control and you can look for continuation to the upside. I like how the daily stochastics are starting to curve here in the undervalued region. Not oversold, but undervalued beneath that 50 mark. So that does look pretty juicy to me. RSI is starting to curve to the upside. That looks good. But to me, I can't do it, baby. I cannot do it until the bulls show me that they have reclaimed that point of control, which they have failed to do for the last 4 times we've been at this location. So once they do that, that'll give me confirmation. Okay, the bulls have control at this level and I can use a 200 MA as the stop loss, and I could go 3-to-1. That's a great risk to reward ratio trade and a plan, baby. And the man with the plan is going to be the winner, in my opinion. Those are my trade setups for XRP. Thank you for jumping on in and suggesting your coin, man. I greatly appreciate you, MH. You're an absolute legend. Thank you for supporting the channel. For those of you who have not been here before, I appreciate you hitting that like button, baby. Hitting that like button. Subscribe. I'm here most nights here on weekends, weekdays. I always stream at 5 o'clock Central and 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And, you know, it's a relatively small channel, so I greatly appreciate the support. And I try to get to every chat that I can request from you guys. It's my passion. It's what I love to do. I love going over the markets. I love giving you guys my opinions. It's not financial advice, if you know, in any way, shape, or form, but it's just how I view the markets, man. I do this for a living. I just got out of the military about 5 months ago, and this is what I do to earn my living now. And it's something that I'm really passionate about. So I greatly appreciate each and every single one of you guys. All right, going down the list, we hit XRP, baby. The mic volume just got big all of a sudden, did it? Woo. Let me know if that's cleared up. Bring it down just a little bit. We'll bring it down just a little bit. All right, cool. Let me know if that's, maybe I got real close like that. Much love, brother. I appreciate it. Hey, thanks, MH. I'll see you later, man. I appreciate you. All right, Chris, thank you for hopping on in, man. Drop a coin, man. If you want to go over anything, just drop it on in the chat. I'd be happy to. Robert Kazarab, Kazab. Hey, appreciate you dropping on in, man. I appreciate you. Algorand. You know, Algorand, not a coin that I've looked at in a minute. But I will tell you this. This thing has some hot staking rewards. If you guys like staking your coins, this thing, we did have it in this flag. It was kind of butched up here, was it not? We're looking at the kind of cup and handle scenario here on the weekly, but I want to look at this on the daily. All right, so a lot of the altcoins the other day, let me clear that old work. A lot of the altcoins the other day were showing this beautiful, beautiful shoulder, head, right shoulder patterns, right? You had the shoulder, head, right shoulder, and it was looking juicy for Algorand here. You got the pop out, and now since you've retraced, now that this neckline has been invalidated, you have to go with your fibs, brother. You have to go with your fibs because you're still in a higher high, higher low situation. You made a lower low, right? Lower low, lower high, lower low, higher, higher low. So that changed market structure. You also made a higher high. So where are you likely to make your next higher low? And it looks to be about where you are right now. So that looks really, really good for Algorand, bouncing currently off the 706. Let me show you that on the 4-hour time frame and bouncing off the 4-hour 200 SMA. That looks very, very juicy to me here in the short term for reversal to the upside. So you can say, hey, Boys Crypto, where do I think it's going to go? Well, you can take your fib extension, right? You take your fib extension tool and you can just flip this upside down, take it from the swing high, come to the swing low, and you know your next high is likely to be up here at about 30 cents. And that is a juicy move for Algorand right here. You know, coming up to the high, that's about a 37% move for Algorand. That's where I see the next high coming in. What is in the way, right? What is in the way of that move, you know, manifesting itself to the upside? Well, as we zoom on out here, let's look at the VRVP that's updated. And forgive me if this is a little small, brother, but you got to get the entire range because the VRVP, the visible range volume profile, that's what I'm looking at. This volume, it shows you how much Algorand, right, relatively to price, has been traded at each individual price level. So you can tell right here, a lot of Algorand was traded, where here a lot of Algorand was not. But you did have, you know, capitulation events and things like that, you know, people getting liquidated and all sorts of that. So that represents, hey, there was a lot of selling. Was there a lot of selling or buying, or was it just a mass liquidation of longs or shorts in either direction? So this VRVP is one of the most powerful tools in the game, in my opinion. You did bounce here off the point of control, the high volume node. Very, very bullish sign. And now, if you haven't watched this channel before, we talk about this ball rolling down the hill scenario a lot, right? Whenever you have, you know, talking about like if you're a ball on top of the hill and you push that ball off the hill, right? The VRVP, these are like little hills right here, mountain. You can take your ball and where are you likely to go? To your next high volume node, right? It's just the way the algorithm likes to work, baby. You get those higher high, higher lows. The next higher high is likely to come in at your high volume node. Look at that one sitting there at about 29 cents. 30 cents being the measured target of the 1.618. Looks really, really juicy. Also, likely by the time we get up there, going to be the area where the 200 MA does stand, right? Does stand very, very tall. The 200 MA is going to be resistance until it is confirmed otherwise. And Algorand can move out of here. Higher, you know, higher highs, higher lows. I like the market structure. The daily stochastics are coming down, reset. You do have, I wanted to say that was hidden bullish divergence, but not quite. You did not come quite low enough there on the RSI indicator. The daily looking to close, despite all the craziness today. Algorand looks to close the daily, right? You could almost get a bullish engulfing candle here in the event you get enough momentum to the upside. That's a bullish engulfing candle on the daily. Also a very, very bullish sign. And you know what's cool about this is if we do get the daily bullish engulfing candle, something that's important to understand, that Friday where you closed right here, there's a CME gap. So when this next candle opens in about an hour and 15 minutes, the likelihood of the next day or 2 days of Algorand touching this price level is about 100%, right? It's about 97%. In Bitcoin, I think there's only been 3 CMEs that have not been filled. And, you know, I was speculating earlier that this could be another one, but like the likelihood is relatively low for a CME gap not to be filled. So the CME formed right here on Friday's close, sitting at about 2229, brother, 0.2229. And the likelihood of you getting there the next day is relatively high. So as price pushes up there, you're likely to open, and this is on all assets, you're very, very likely to open the following week where you closed on Friday. It happens in stocks, happens in crypto, it happens on almost all assets across the globe, baby. So just keep that on your radar. But this looks good to me. You do have a little bit of let's see, you do have, now I wanted to say that was bullish divergence, but it's not. But the wick, you know, double bottom here on the 1 hour looks okay. Yeah. Had a range up here, fell into another range. Looks okay. I'd want to start playing 200 MA dominoes to the upside. You're above the 15-minute 200 MA, and now some of these assets, right, ever since we started streaming, baby, we're starting to get that pump a lump to the upside. You have that inverted shoulder, head right shoulder. Look at this starting to play out here. And this was what we were looking at for SUI and looks pretty similar on all the altcoins. A lot of the altcoins in the top 100 are going to move together. Shoulder, head, right shoulder. You have a very clear neckline right here. And you did get that beautiful retest with that candle there. And again, this is on the 5 minute and it is still Sunday night, but I wouldn't be surprised to see this bought up by the Asian trading session in about 2 hours, about 2 hours and 15 minutes from now. So it looks really, really good. The next 200 MA that stands in your way, you closed above the 15 minute. So what's the next 200 MA? You closed above the 7 minute, a full body candle. So the next one is the 5 minute 200 SMA. The likelihood of that getting tested is relatively high. And the inverted shoulder, head right shoulder breakout here for Algorand, strong, baby. Takes you back up to where? From whence you came. Look at that giant gap here in the VRVP as well. You have a giant gap in the VRVP suggesting that this was more liquidations on the weekend. Very, very likely fast dumps lead to fast pumps, baby. And this could be a very, very nice V-shaped recovery for Algorand and the altcoins. That's how it would happen. You have a massive dump, get some kind of reversal pattern, inverted shoulder, head right shoulder to the upside. You got to crack that 5 minute 200 SMA. And then I think it's very, very likely that a lot of these altcoins start recovering over the course of the night. Ever since we started talking here, let's look at it on the 15 minute time frame. The total 3 chart's going to look very, 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 very similar. Does this not look the exact same? You got the shoulder, head, right shoulder, a little weaker than Algorand. So Algorand kind of leading the pace here. Algorand kind of leading the pace. You do have a little bit of a slant here while Algorand's is flat. That shows a little bit more strength for Algorand. But let's see if the shoulder, head, right shoulder does manifest itself as we go on through the night. We're flagging above the 1 minute 200 SMA. A known signal, baby. A known signal. I love to see that. Let's see if a flag kind of forms out here and we can get that pumpage for the rest of the alts and Algorand, right? This chart is going to respect a lot of the top 100 coins, everything outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum. But Algorand looks hot to me, brother. I think that there's going to be a reversal, not just for, not just for the altcoins, right? But for BTC here, Bitcoin dominance needs to create a lower high. If it doesn't create a lower high, the alts could be in severe, severe trouble. And, this movement here just shows me, right? In the last, hour or so, a 2% move. Bitcoin, I doubt moved that much, did it? Look at this in the hour. That's nice, baby. That's nice. BTC, how's BTC looking? Bitcoin over the last hour, just 0.7%, back up to 105,335. Looking hot for Bitcoin. And don't be surprised, ladies and gentlemen, if we break the all-time high as we go throughout the night. I'm going to be tracking that very, very closely. Let's take another peek at dominance here before we go on further into the chat. Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance. You need that rejection at the 618. You got the rejection here. You got the rejection. And you want to see this start rolling over. This is the micro, right? This is the micro time frame. So the lower high likely to come in at the 618. And we got it so far. Let's see if we get that continued rollover. And you still have that bear div, right? You still do have that bear div on the 1 hour time frame. Very, very evident here. Let me get this out of the way, right? You do have evident, very, very clear higher high here on price action. And this is the wick that's going to determine whether this is going to hold or not, and you have a lower high created on the RSI. So you have this swing across on the RSI where you're making a higher high on price action or, percentage for Bitcoin dominance, suggesting that you crack this low before you crack this high. If you're a divergence trader, that's exactly how you look at it. You want to get to as close as this wick as possible, and then you get that dumpage to the downside, increasing your risk to reward the closer you get. Right? The closer you get to that divergence, those risk reward trades can be absolutely juicy. 13-1 right there in the event that you did get it, right? 5-1, right? It's crazy how close you could get and this divergence still work out. But on the smaller time frames, that's exactly what you want to see for BTC.com. And still, Bitcoin dominance still pumping. We got to keep that in mind. Even though Bitcoin's back at 105, the altcoins these are lackluster pumps comparatively to what Bitcoin's doing. Important to understand. Very, very important to understand. All right, let's dive on in. Let's dive on in, baby. Yeah, who is this guy? Oh, yeah, I have no idea. Wait, whoa, it's a nasty kid. What's going on, man? Hey, I appreciate you hopping on in here. Algorand for Robert. Yeah, absolutely. You want to go over ICP? Yeah, ICP. Cool. We went over Algo, ICP. We'll go over ICP. We want to look at Pepe for reviews. Absolutely, brother. Idea Jern. What's up, man? I appreciate you. Thank you for hopping on in. Yeah, hey, we got a lot of new people in the chart. Do me a favor, guys. Smash that like button. Hit the subscribe. I'm live most nights at about this time. I appreciate you guys hopping on in. Let's look at ICP. I'm going down the list, everybody. And if I forget you, it's not that I forgot you. I promise. It's not that I forgot you. It's that the chat keeps going, and I don't have any moderators to kind of help me, work through it. So if you guys could do me a favor, if I miss something, don't spam it, but just say it again a little later on. But I'll do my best. All right. ICP dipping a little further than the rest of the altcoins. A lot of coins got that double bottom here on the 1 hour. ICP did go for that liquidity grab, and you got that. Stochastics reset. Let's look at it on the daily. So ICP on the daily, honestly, man, I would have loved to see a higher high come on in there, because that would have set you up for a beautiful cup and handle. That would have set you up for a beautiful cup and handle if you got a higher high in there. You made an equal low and a higher high. So you did change market structure, right? That's good for ICP. Equal low, double bottom. You made a higher high, equal low, higher high. Your higher low, where's that likely to come in? It's likely to come in at your fib, man. Your 0.618 to 786. So where are you at right now? You just bounced off the 618. That's a more risky move, right? Getting into the 618 is definitely more risky. If you're going to get into any kind of leverage position on this thing, you got to respect that the 786 is still there. So I would definitely put my stop beneath the 786, right? And sometimes for the altcoins, the 886 does get retraced. A safer way to do it, right? If you were looking for the reversal on ICP and you think Bitcoin dominance is going to continue to roll over, and I can't guarantee that for sure, but it looks really, really good from a Fibonacci perspective, putting a stop beneath the low, or you could go beneath the entire range low here on the daily. This would be from when Bitcoin was at, this is relatively weak in my opinion comparatively. What is this up? This is up 24% from the lows. This is relatively weak in my opinion. And I don't know a lot about ICP, man. I'm not talking about tokenomics or anything. I don't know if they got news or partnerships or anything that's coming up. Don't hate on me. I'm just talking about what the charts say, brother. But yeah, we got the lower high, lower low, lower high. We're changing market structure. Higher low, equal low, higher high. So where's that next higher high likely to come in? Or higher low likely to come in? It's likely to come in right about where you are, because you're at the 618, 786 from the swing low, your most recent swing low. You had that bounce out the 618, almost to 706 right there. Looks pretty, really good. But if I were you and you were taking a long, you could put a stop beneath the low and go for the daily 200. You have a beautiful gap here in the VRVP, all the way up to about $7.10. Are you going to get that kind of move? You definitely could here for XR or for ICP on a massive squeeze to the upside. The short interest on this thing has to be massive. Why do I say that? Let me get this out of here. So that would be my trade idea, going back up to the daily 200 SMA, the next high volume node there, trading above the point of control down here at about 4 of this range right here of about 490. So that does look relatively strong. Daily 200 SMA and the next high volume node are in confluence with one another. So that gives me a lot of I want to say hope, but confluence that's an area that's likely going to be strong resistance. The next high volume node and the 200 MA, that's going to be a resistance area for you, almost guaranteed. The odds of you slicing through that like a hot knife through butter, a hot knife through butthole, a hot knife through butter, very, very low. But I will acknowledge this on the daily chart. So from a macro perspective on the weekly, right, you are still making, right, you made a higher high. You made a higher, but you changed market structure on the weekly, right? This was you back in 2024. You made a higher low, but you made a lower high and a lower low. So, and that's the danger for a lot of the altcoins, right? For a lot of altcoins, I'm not saying everyone, but a lot of the altcoins are kind of sitting in that zone where you're like, like from a weekly perspective, this does not look good. Like if this was the 1 minute chart, would you long it? I couldn't say that I would. Right? And to me, there's some stronger eggs in the Easter of alt season. To me, there's some stronger eggs in the game than ICP from a charting perspective right now. Why? Because there's an additional resistance here, right, on the weekly that you're going to have to get above, sitting at about, is that where your daily 200 sits as well? Your daily 200 sits above that. So this is going to be an additional layer of resistance for you. Ever since you had that the biggest liquidation event in crypto history did happen back here on the 3rd of February. You've never recovered from that, from ICP, right? You've continued on that downtrend. There's likely a lot of shorts to squeeze up in here. That is the good news, right? That is the good news. But you're going to need the legwork you're going to have to do to get back up there is relatively high, in my opinion. With that being said, higher high, higher low. It looks good from a charting perspective, but from an alt season perspective, you'd have to really believe in the project and think of these. And these may be some of the hottest prices that you could get. But just looking at it on the weekly, making lower highs and lower lows, it doesn't give me confidence that this thing could go and revisit the highs, right? Because if you're looking at it from a fib perspective, from the swing high to the swing low, where's your next lower high? You make a lower low? From a market structure perspective, unless you break it, unless you crack this high, where's your next lower high likely to come in? Another added layer of resistance. That 618 and 786 area, the $11 to $13 region is likely to be a heavy area of resistance, right? And imagine all the people getting FOMO, like, oh, ICP, about to go and crack the high in that macro area, that macro retrace, Fibonacci retrace that is likely an area that a lot of people get wrecked. Higher low or lower high and a lower low likely, in my opinion, for ICP, unless you could get a massive squeeze above $15. That's a 200% move from here. Maybe some of the hottest prices you see for ICP. I do see a move back up to the 200 MA, but I would be right here. You're going to, in this range right here, you're likely to squeeze through it very, very quickly from 7.6 to 8.5. Why? Because this entire candle, or these entire 2 days, were all liquidations to the downside, the biggest liquidation event in crypto history. If your coin is still sitting beneath this area, you have to expect that when you get back up into that zone, you're going to get a massive squeeze. You're going to get a massive squeeze, a candle that looks like this, right? You're going to get something that looks like this, because all those shorts are going to get triggered, right? Squeezed, liquidated, stopped to the outside. You're going to get a big candle, and then you're going to get a massive sell-off. Where's that massive sell-off likely to come in? At that high vol, or at that Fibonacci retrace from the swing high to the swing low up here at that 618. Just something I want to keep on your radar. ICP looking good for reversal to the upside. However, there are more brick walls on your path, in my opinion, than some of the other coins in the game. Looks good to me, man. I just think there's a couple more resistances you got to get over, and I think ICP is going to have a harder time when this bull run eventually does start for the altcoins, and the event dominance does continue to roll over. All right, everybody. Hey, whoa. Hey, yo, who's talking about my haircut now? It's a little bit buzz. You guys got to remember, I was in the military, man. I lived this life. I lived the short hair life. I know you guys miss my long flowing locks. All right, here we go. Oh, listen, he was talking about me, man. He was talking about me in the charts. All right, Reviews, thank you for being here all the way from Indonesia. Shout out to you, Reviews. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you being here. I think it's early in the morning for you, like 3 or 4 o'clock, but shout out to you, brother. Thank you for being here. What's this guy on, man? WBJW. What's up, man? I'm just excited about the charts tonight, man. I'm excited. I kind of bring this energy every single day, but much love. It is a mixture of Adderall, cocaine. No, I'm just kidding. I don't do anything like that. But yeah, I definitely, I used to do pre-workout, and that stuff used to light me up, but I'm off that, man. A couple cups of coffee, and you're good to go. All right, let's dive on in. Reviews, baby. Reviews. Thanks, man. One of the longtime supporters wants to look at Pepe. Pepe, baby. The hottest meme on Ethereum, the #1 meme on the Ethereum blockchain, getting a massive move here today. And, you know, you could have we were speculating on a little bit of a move here, and that would have gotten definitely stopped out. Would have not, yeah, stopped or almost stopped, right? Yeah, would have definitely gotten stopped. Why was I speculating along here? And this was back here in early May. Yeah, early May, ever since this fell off. Pennant was forming. We got the move to the upside. Haven't looked at Pepe really since. I do remember this was a monumental move, a monstrous move with Ethereum up 90%. 90% from early May. That is a monstrous move on any asset in such a fast amount of time. So let's look at this with a renewed perspective, right? Okay. So, Pepe on the daily. The first thing I like, we fell beneath the daily 200, but since today, the next hour, we'll claim a reclamation candle of the daily 200 SMA. For those of you who are new to this channel, you guys understand that this red line is like the line in the sand for me. The macro, as you zoom on out, the macro picture, the bull runs happen above this red line. The bear markets happen beneath this red line. It just happens all the time. That daily 200 SMA is one of the most powerful tools you could use, in my opinion, in the crypto and even traditional asset charts, baby. You could use this on the ES1, on the NASDAQ. You could use, S&P 500 futures, gold, silver, whatever you want. And zoom out on the daily 200 SMA and just understand how this red line, just look at how this red line is so powerful, you know, throughout history. And, you know, you can't really see it here. You can look at it logarithmically. No, we're not going to do that. That just confuses my autism. But yeah. You get above this red line, it looks really, really juicy. You get below, that shows caution. Above, massive pump. Below, massive dump. Above, are we going to get another massive pump for Pepe? Well, I will say this. Pepe, at the end of the day, is going to trade in unison with Ethereum. I would expect some kind of consolidation, right? Some consolidation after a monstrous move like that. But we're getting to the point, we're getting to the point, you know, in crypto, where Bitcoin dominance does start to roll over like it has. Like, this was representative of that drop off last week, right? Last week in Bitcoin dominance, this candle represents that massive bearish engulfing candle that you did have on Bitcoin dominance. So if Bitcoin dominance continues to roll over harder week over week over week, is Pepe going to go on one of those parabolic moves like the ones that it went back on in 2021? It definitely could. Right? The moves, I'll say this. Back in 2021, where's 2021? You know, back here, or 2023, where is it? 2024? Some of the moves that you get here for Pepe are going to be absolutely astronomical, right? Just a couple candles. That is a 10x, baby. The move here for Pepe in a couple of weeks, 2 months, 228%, right? Back here, another month, a month of time, you know, a 222% move. You did make a lower low here on the weekly, a little bit of a concern, but regardless, that daily flag does push you up into where you're likely your Fibonacci retracement, your 618786 golden pocket Fibonacci. That is a very, very likely zone where you're going to get a little bit of resistance. You're above the daily 200 SMA right now, making higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, right? If that is your low, if that is in fact your low, you know, that could be a very, very nice zone. And what I do like is that is a reclaim of a support resistance flip, right? You know, you got above support, support, resistance, resistance, resistance. You got above support, fell beneath, resistance, and you reclaim that support resistance line. So that's very, very interesting for Pepe. Looks for continuation, in my opinion. I wouldn't be surprised to see some kind of consolidation here on Ethereum. Even Ethereum, right? Ethereum has it fell massively today, did it not? It fell massive. It fell like 23.5. It fell pretty far today. Wow, that is wild to the downside. From the beginning of the day today for Ethereum on Sunday, it fell about 10%, the second biggest altcoin. That just shows the carnage that has been in this market today. Since then, you know, recovering about 5%, about half the losses, 50% retrace. That's okay, but, you know, I think Pepe is definitely going to trade in confluence with Ethereum. Pepe struggled with Ethereum over the last couple of months. That is to be expected. If your main chain, right, does start to struggle, it's likely that the altcoin on that chain starts to struggle as well. Bitcoin, look, what's on Bitcoin, baby? What's going on with BTC? Bitcoin ripping, baby, ripping. But that's crazy. Bitcoin's looking good. Looking to go. Look at that. So this just shows, like, from this dump, right? From this dump that we had earlier, Bitcoin's back at the highs. Where's your altcoin at? Where's your altcoin at? It's likely not where. That's crazy. Dominance isn't giving. Bitcoin's taking all this money from the market. That's wild to me. That is so wild. But Bitcoin going for the highs, you know, on the hour. Oh, a lot of coins getting a little bit of a pump, a lump. The 4 hour, you know, reversing a little bit here. That's good to see. But yeah, Bitcoin looks hot. I think it's going to be a volatile night, ladies and gentlemen. At any moment, right? At any moment, I want to keep this on your guys' radar, right? I'll mark that level on my chart, right? But at any moment, the all-time high can be cracked for Bitcoin. It's true, right? The next hour, that's going to be a bullish engulfing candle that, you know, you could say, hey, Boys Crypto, this is a breakout. And this isn't something I was calling for. It definitely wasn't. It was a flag that we had, but I didn't think it would happen tonight. Not that quickly. We were just down here at, what, 103? Bitcoin going maybe for the highs here, tickling on 106. Look at the push, baby. Look at the push. This is cool here. Look at on the 1 minute time frame. The 1 minute time frame, the 21 supporting price action as it continually goes on up to looks like to test the highs. I will say this, you got a little bit of bearish div here forming on the 1, but Bitcoin dominance, is it invalidated? Almost. It's almost invalidated there on the 1 minute time frame. A little bit of bearish div, you know, may give us a little bit of a pullback here, but that's not what we want to see. Not from a dominance perspective. That is for sure. Not from a dominance perspective. A pullback will likely lead to a pumpage in dominance. So you want to see Bitcoin continue to push here, or what's going to happen? Your altcoin's going to continue to roll over comparatively to Bitcoin, in my opinion, unless this 786 does hold. The 618 holds. The 618 coming in. Let's get rid of this here. The 618. And we'll jump back on into the chat and we'll look at some of these coins. The 618's got a hold here. You know, this was the high for Bitcoin dominance, and Bitcoin dominance has been a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candle uptrend. The weekly looks insane. Look at that candle, trying to take it all back. You know, we got to get the rejection here at the 618. It is imperative for Bitcoin dominance to reject here. If it doesn't, like, the altcoins are sincerely in trouble. Sincerely in trouble. And could we get a massive drop-off, a massive nukage candle to the downside? Yeah, absolutely. It's happened before, but the odds dramatically go down in the event that we break this golden pocket Fibonacci retrace. Whoop! In the event we break this golden pocket Fibonacci retrace. That is very, very true. All right, let's dive back on into the charts, baby, as Bitcoin does try and test the highs. We'll keep that on the 1 minute here. But yeah, looks juicy, baby. Billions pouring on in the Bitcoin. Yeah, all hail the king Bitcoin reviews. I could not agree with you more. All right, where do we leave off here? All right, Idea John. What's up, man? AI16Z. So AI16Z was one of the hotter AI narratives that popped on into the game when Virtuals launched. It was Virtuals, AI16Z. What was the other one? This is the AI on X, isn't it? Or AI? That's AIXBT. Yeah, it's AIXBT, the creepy dude with his hands. Yeah, but yeah, the logo. That's funny. All right, let's see here. The AI narratives. Look at this 4-hour candle coming back up, but just not as strong as Bitcoin. Like, the alts retraced about 50% to the upside, while Bitcoin ate back about all of its gain, about all of those losses. Very, very interesting. All right, so here we go. So what I do love, this looks pretty beautiful right here. Let's look at where did this fib come to? From the swing low to the swing high? You got a 786 retrace out of a beautiful cup and handle for AI16Z. Or for AI16Z. This looks beautiful to me. Cup, handle, the bounce off the 618, 786. Let me get rid of that there. I'll make it look a little nicer. But you did get a beautiful 618, 786 bounce off of a beautiful cup and handle. Looks for continuation to the upside here. The cup and handle looks to break out from the base to the top of the cup from wherever you exited the handle. Looking to come up here to about 32.57. That's another 10%, 20% move from where you currently stand, is it not? 12% move to the upside. AI16Z looks hot here for the reversal on the 15-minute time frame. Looks juicy. Looks really, really juicy. Let's zoom on out here on the macro and see what we're looking at. Yeah, so you got a nice, beautiful cup and handle. Looks pretty juicy to me from that perspective. You are putting in a, let me see here. So you got the cup handle coming to the 786. Looks like you may have done it here as well. From this range. Swing low to the swing high. You dip below the 786, got above and retested it again. So that 786 is looking very, very good to me, brother. Looking very, very good to me. Cup and handle on the 4-hour time frame. I think a reversal's coming here for AI16Z. Again, it's going to depend on Bitcoin. Bitcoin needs to hold where it is, at least for these for the alts to have any chance here at pumpage. It really does. As Bitcoin dominance continues to roar, if Bitcoin dominance doesn't start to give, the altcoins are just going to have more severe dumps and lackluster pumps in comparison to BTC. But that looks good to me, man. The cup and handle looks juicy for movement to the upside to go and test this 1-hour 200 SMA, and then you could look at playing 200 MA dominoes, right? You broke the 15, you're likely to come to the 30. The 30 is going to be resistance until you clear a full candle body above it. You did here, and then you know, you didn't quite get to the 1 hour, but that'd be where I'd be looking to next. The 1 hour 200 SMA. You crack that, you're likely going to go, oh, that's interesting too. The high here, right? The high here is your 200 SMA. So your 2 hours is going to come before your 1 hour. So you're looking for the next 200 SMA on whatever time frame you can find up here on TradingView, and you can see that is going to be your next resistance. You get over one, the likelihood of you testing the next one is about 90%. Looks juicy, man. Out of the cup and handle. Looks good to me. AI16Z. I appreciate you dropping that on in the chat. Trying to keep up with everybody here. I did not forget any of you. I promise. I'm just scanning. I got a little bit of vision issues. No, I'm not kidding. I wish I want to say I wish I had vision issues, but I should have blamed that on the military. What do you think is possible to break $1 this year? $1. So it depends on what crypto you're talking about, man. Give me a coin and I'll let you know. So a lot of coins like sitting close to $1, like Ondo is going to break $1 this year, I believe. but it's sitting at 90 cents. Like, is AI16Z going to break $1? I do think the AI narrative is going to be one of the hotter in the space here. I think this, I think this thing can do some massive damage. The one that I'm really tracking and it's just really been blowing everybody's mind is virtuals. If you guys haven't checked out virtuals, I did go over that earlier in the stream. Feel free to have a rewind a little later to go over my virtuals analysis, but it looks good, baby. It looks good. Hey, thank you everybody for being here. You guys are absolutely awesome. Thanks for kicking it here with me tonight on this Sunday night. You guys are all absolutely awesome. I appreciate you. I went somewhere and probably sleep for the next week. What's up, WJB? I'm just a really energetic guy. What can I say? Let's take a look at Chainlink. Chainlink, baby. I'm trying to do it in order, baby. What about Sui, XRP, and Solana? I'm going to get to as many as I can, Raven. I got you, brother. I got you, brother/lady. I got you guys. Thank you, everybody, for being here. All right, let's dive on into Chainlink. Let's look at Chainlink. So Chainlink, I'll be honest. For all of you guys, do you not expect Chainlink to be above where it's currently at right now? $15? What? When, this is what I remember this candle right here back in, December. This is where World Liberty Fi started investing in Chainlink up here at what, 27? I think they got in. Maybe it was this candle right here. I did not expect Chainlink, right, with all it's got going for it in the ISO 2022 space. And I just didn't expect it to have this deep of a retrace. Interesting. Very interesting. All right, so what do I see here for Chainlink? Well, I haven't looked at Chainlink in a good minute. Give me a second. Look at it on the daily. So on the daily for Chainlink, so far, the reality is, I do like this. Reality is we got rejected by that daily 200 SMA. It happened once, twice. That's the third time. How many times can the police hit your door with the battering ram before it cracks? That's the other way you could look at supports and resistances, right? How many times, how often do you see supports hold up 10 times? Very unlikely, right? That door is going to crack through and the police are going to come storming in. I'm not saying, shout out to all the boys in blue out there, right? But yeah, shoulder, head, right shoulder, looking really, really good for Chainlink. A textbook retest here of the neckline. That looks like a really, really juicy long area here for Chainlink off the retrace that you've had over the past week or so, over the past 3, 4, 5 days. And that would be a really relatively good risk-reward ratio trade, even if you put the stop beneath the prior low of that shoulder coming up here, looking to be about 2-to-1. That'd be a 2-to-1 risk reward ratio trade. And for those of you who have been trading a while, I hope you guys trade over 1-to-1. But if you're trading 1-to-1, the odds of you being successful in trading are relatively low, right? Because you need to win over 50% of the time. For me and my trading style, I only need to win about 33% of my trades to be a profitable trader, to be a break-even trader. Why do I make my trades like that, right? Because in the event news wrecks me, in the event a trade goes my way, I know the next trade can make back everything that I lost and some. Very, very important that you have a trading plan. Risk-reward ratio is very, very good, favorable, in your favor, preferably 2-to-1 or greater, in my opinion. Some people go for that 1.5-to-1. I like the 2-to-1, baby. I like the 2-to-1. Or the trade, to me, the juice is just not worth the squeeze. From a Fibonacci perspective, higher highs, higher lows here on Chainlink, coming down to the 618 and getting the nice bounce here just over the course of the last day. Was that were those going to be some of the best prices that we see on Chainlink right before the next bigger move? Because once you crack that daily 200 SMA, what happened the last time you cracked the daily 200 SMA for Chainlink? You break it, retest, and then you went on the cataclysmic run from where? $12 all the way up to almost 31? A 140% move for Chainlink. This could be really, really juicy. The inverted shoulder, head right shoulder, a classic textbook reversal pattern looks hot here for the Chainlink protocol. And you dipped a little deeper than I thought you would, honestly. Like, look here. From a fib retrace from the swing low of the bear market all the way up to here, you came down to 886. I thought the 786 would hold. You got a reaction right there. And you didn't even get a reaction hardly off the 618. That's actually crazy. You could say that you did on that February 3rd cataclysmic disaster for Chainlink and for the rest of the altcoin market. But yeah, Chainlink looks good here. I think the retest of the shoulder, head right shoulder, looks really, really good. The stochastics are starting to curve here, as you can see on the stochastic RSI momentum oscillator, and the RSI is pointing upward in the direction you want it to, right at about 50, right about that fair value. So it looks good to me here for Chainlink for continuation of the upside. It's all going to depend on Bitcoin. I'll tell you guys this. We wake up tomorrow and Bitcoin's at 101. Your altcoin's going to take a massive, this is looking juicy for Bitcoin. Let's see here on the 1 minute time frame. Never do I recommend trading on the 1 minute time frame, everybody. Not very Not very reliable at all, but TA works out just the same. Flags, right? Flags, reset stochastics, pointing violently in the upward direction. We'll see how that plays out. But yeah, that looks really, really juicy here. A nice flag here forming for Bitcoin, looking to come. And believe it or not, this would take us to 107,000, right? Up to about 107,000 in the event that the flag does hold. We'll see over the next couple of minutes. We do have that bear div. That can knock us down, suggesting that you crack this low before this high. And the whales have been playing their games today. Have they not? So Chainlink looks really, really good. Thank you for that coin suggestion. Much love. And I appreciate you, Robert. You're an absolute legend for hopping on in the chat. My first time seeing you, man. You're an absolute legend. Thank you for being here. Just excited. Man, my chat. Oh no. Just excited to be bringing some energy to the space. Yeah, April, I appreciate you. Bitcoin booming. Bitcoin 105. Yeah, I see you guys. I see you. Bitcoin's dominating. Yeah, Sui, right? We went over Sui a little earlier in the chat, so we're going to go skip that one. We went over XRP, but we did not go over Sol. Back on up in the stream, brother. And we did go over those coins a little earlier before you hopped in, but I appreciate you diving on in the chat. Thank you. I'll go over Solana happily for you, man. Happily. Let's dive on into Solana. The other ones were gone over earlier in the stream. Feel free to rewind that. And I don't timestamp or anything, but it was definitely earlier in the stream, I promise you. Those are some of the first things that we did look at today. Let's look at it on the perpetuals for Binance, if it does have that. Sold and perpetual futures for Binance. All right, Sol moving with BTC here. Yeah, and this just shows all, right? Bitcoin's at 105K. Sol, when Bitcoin was at 105K, was sitting up here at 175, sitting at 169. Lackluster pumps and more severe dumps to the downside for Solana here. Came down to a key area of support, got the bounce off the wick. Looks good. You did create a higher high and a higher low. That also looks good. From a Fibonacci extension perspective, right? If you go for your next higher high, that would be a really, really nice move. Since you have to stretch it that much, that's a 184 for Solana, looking very, very likely in the event that you do get that capitulation to the upside here for Solana. Off of that very slight higher low, you're playing the 200 MA dominoes. You're above the 15, likely to consolidate as this 21 does start to roll here, roll in your favor, right? Roll in your direction. 21 starting to roll. It's likely going to support price action. Look how it supports price action over and over and over and over again. You want that 21 to support your price action on the way up. And then when you crack that 21, you close a big candle beneath it. That signs danger. You come to the 200, you fall beneath that. And that's major danger, major pain, as they say. Shout out to all you guys who are watching that movie. If you guys never watched Major Pain, it's an American classic, baby. An American classic. It's a hot one. I love it, man. I love it. Super funny guy. One of my favorite old-time movies. I don't know how many old-timers are on there, but I'm 28 years old, baby. I'm 28 years old, 28 years young. Just got out of the Navy, out of the military. Shout out to Major Payne, man. Such a hot movie, such a good movie. Not hot like Major Payne's hot, but a fun movie to watch. All right, yeah, Solana looks good. 15-minute 200 MA did just get cracked. You're likely to come to the 30, currently giving you trouble. So you're going to ping between here, right, the 15-minute and the 30 until one does get decisively closed above or below, respectively. Your stochastics are reset on the 30, but the 15 is starting to roll over here. The altcoins are really starting to struggle. I'm not going to lie. As Bitcoin is testing the highs, once again, that's not what you want to see. That's not what you want to see, ladies and gentlemen. Zooming on out here on the 1 hour time frame, the 2 hour, not seeing anything really hot here. Just some consolidation. To me, you're in a range, right? To me, you are in a range. You formed a range here on Solana. Let me get this out of here. You formed the range above Solana. You've deviated above it a couple times. You've deviated below it a couple times, but you have that point of control right here in the middle, right around a 171. It is very, very key that the bulls reclaim this zone, flip it into support in order to go and test the highs. And you break above the highs, you retest this, the value area high here, the value area high of this range, and you could look for higher prices. That opens up the doorway to higher prices, as Frankie Candle says. Shout out to Frankie Candle, is also another legendary trader. Learned a lot from him. Also learned a lot from the Crypto Lifer, baby. Shout out to Stan Price, to Crypto Lifer. Both those guys are absolutely amazing. But yeah, just looking at range here. Looking at range, stochastics looking to bend. You did have a little bit of bullish divergence here. Look at this bullish divergence that did form here on the 2 hour time frame. You got to swing across in price action here. Swing across in price action while you did create a higher low on the RSI momentum oscillator, and that suggests you crack this high before you crack this low, and lo and behold, you did. So that's the RSI trading right here. Anybody who got in on that wick with the stop below, would have been going off that 2-hour stochastic, and you got a monstrous move to the upside. Let's see if Solana can continue as we go throughout the night. Agent trading session opening in about an hour and a half or so, or what time is it? 2 hours or so. So that would be really, really nice to see if we get some volume into the altcoins here and see dominance start to roll over to the downside. Let's take a quick peek at dominance here. Dominance, man, continuing to soar. The 618 may be serving well here. Maybe serving as that double top area. Let's see if this could be a double top and roll over to the downside. I would love to see it for dominance, baby. We would love to see it for dominance. Altcoins, yeah, not worth it. Yeah, depends on your perspective, brother. I'm in the altcoins right now. Here's why. I'm in the altcoins. For those of you who are new to the channel, here's why I'm in the altcoins right now. And I'm not one of those guys that is like, oh, I'm my way or the highway. Yeah, it's not like that, right? However, on the bigger time frames, on the weekly, a multi-year since 2018 inverted cup and handle. And it's not Boys Crypto saying this. It's just a chart screaming to me, right? If this was the 1 minute time frame, I'd be looking for a 618, 786 retrace, right? A lower high, right? Because you broke market structure. Higher, low, higher, high, higher, low, higher, high, higher, low, lower, high, or lower, low, lower, high, lower, low. Where's your next lower high? Macro, lower, high, likely to come in on the weekly. On this 618, 786 golden pocket Fibonacci, I've been very, very clear and transparent with everybody on this channel. If we crack this 786, right, sitting up here at about 66.43, we close a weekly candle above that level, I will shift every altcoin, or almost every altcoin that I own, into Bitcoin. The majority of my portfolio is in Bitcoin, but I will shift the majority of my portfolio into Bitcoin, and I will be a Bitcoin macro bull off of this, what would be gigantic double bottom W-shaped pattern that looks to take a cataclysmic ride to the upside. Bitcoin really showing strength here over the past 3 years. Over the past 3 years, we've been in this uptrend. So I'm looking for this uptrend to fail, right? Out of this gap in the VRVP. We do have divergence here, as you can see here on the weekly. So to me, if the altcoins are going to explode and we're going to have that altcoin season, it needs to happen now. This needs to be the top right here, in my opinion, right? Just based off of the macro Fibonacci bearish retrace of the 618786. For all you altcoin holders, this is your hopium. This is your prayer. This is what you're hoping for. And I don't want to say that like that, but with the strength of Bitcoin dominance, you can't argue that you're kind of hoping right now. You're kind of hoping. You need this 618, 786 golden pocket Fibonacci zone to reverse you to the downside. It'll start with a micro fib retrace, right? And we're getting that right now. The 618, we are right there, but this zone right here, I know it's kind of color coded here on the chart. It's kind of crazy, but this zone between 64.05 and 64.63 needs to be the area where the next lower high comes in, or you're likely to test the highs and break through that 786. You break through that 786, baby. Oh, that would be horrible for the altcoins, and Bitcoin dominance would continue to scream. Regardless of whether Bitcoin's going up or down, the alts will continue to dump harder and pump less than Bitcoin, in my opinion, in the event that 786 does get invalidated. That is my Bitcoin dominance macro analysis, baby. Yeah, so all right, let's look. So Bitcoin break it at 107K. Let's see. Or hold on. Let me go in order. Gotta go in order. Sorry, guys. So we looked at SUI, we looked at XRP, we looked at Solana, right? Solana looks good, but struggling with the rest of the altcoins here on the smaller time frames, as Bitcoin's going and testing the highs right now, and Solana is having a lackluster pump comparatively that it did earlier. Bitcoin was at 105 here. Now Bitcoin's at 105 here. Say Bitcoin dumps to 101 and then Bitcoin gets to 105. Then Solana prices here. That's how dominance works. Dominance will continue to pump if Solana trades like this, right? So you want to see that dominance roll over in order to get, that squeeze to the upside for Solana, and for a lot of whatever altcoin you're in, it applies the same deal. So I do like you did create a higher high, and you did technically, even with the wick, create a higher low. Looks good there for Solana in the near term. All right, Bitcoin bull flag on the 1 minute says Dan Vo Beaton. Hey, thank you for being here, brother. I appreciate you. Appreciate you hitting that subscribe button, hitting the like button, and hanging out here with us on the channel. Appreciate you, man. Yeah, nice bull flag looking. We did draw this a little earlier. Nice bull flag. And these are going to adjust, right? You're going to have to play around with them, fickle with them here on the 1 minute time frame. A nice bull flag for Bitcoin potentially forming here, looking to break out. And, you know, if Bitcoin breaks out of this, you're looking at 106. And we still have, how long do we have to go until the daily candle close? We still have 35 minutes. Today could be a historic day for Bitcoin. Why? Because the measured move of that 1 minute takes us to the highest daily candle close we have ever had for Bitcoin ever. And that's just on the 1 minute flag. So can it happen? Absolutely. That would be crazy. And if you close that daily candle, you could be looking for a blue skies breakout. We've wicked above and wicked below, but have not had a confirmed daily candle close. Now, something that is giving me concern, I have to say it. And I'm not being a bear. This is an incredibly bullish news, but where's our CME gap? It's down here at 103.5. I have to acknowledge that, right? Saturday, Sunday, Friday, the CME gap is at 103.5. I'll say this. There have been 3 in Bitcoin's history that have not been filled. Could this be one out of a move like this? The answer is yes. The odds, low. But it will leave so many, in the event that did not get filled, the amount of people that would be left on the sidelines waiting to get in at these prices would be astronomical, and Bitcoin would be looking to, you know, defy the odds. The 21's coming up in the price action, and Bitcoin gets the pump. This thing will start going vertical as well. Stochastics reset. You're not forming any major bearish div yet. As of yet, crossing the signal line, Bitcoin looks good for a scream to the upside out of this 1 minute flag. Has a lot of potential to me. And it's crazy, right? You would think the altcoins are doing so much better on this move, but they aren't. They're struggling. Very, very interesting. All right, here we go. Diving on in, baby. Bitcoin CME exchange is open just 1 hour ago, and after the open, we started to pump. Okay, interesting. All right, we looked at Chainlink. We looked at dominance. We looked at SUI, XRP, Solana. SUI and XRP were earlier in the day. We hit Solana, CME. All hail the king of Bitcoin. It looks like it reviews, honestly. Billions pouring into Bitcoin. Bitcoin dominance. Retested the accumulation zone. Yep, sure. The probability of a pump massively. And Ethereum went down in price so much is insane. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. But you know, when Bitcoin starts making these pumps, the altcoins will come out of nowhere and hit like a truck. They really will. They have in the past. They likely will again. They'll catch everybody off guard. Like, did anybody in here call that Ethereum 45% move in 3 days? Very few people were looking for that kind of movement on Ethereum, and there were very few people who got Ethereum under $2,000. And now people are like, man, I wish I got in under $2,000. Why didn't people get in? Interesting concept. Very, very interesting. Yeah, we got the flag on the 1 minute. We'll close the highest daily candle ever at 106.172. That was the highest daily candle on Binance here. And we are only $300 away from that candle close, about $400 away. So this could be historic, right? Get a candle body close above here on the daily. From that perspective, on the daily, that would be a blue skies breakout for BTC. This is one of the hottest assets in the game. This is the hottest asset in the game. My entire retirement is in BTC, everybody. My entire retirement account over there on iTrust Capital is in Bitcoin. I'm betting on this thing for the long haul. I think this is a multi-million-dollar asset. I see $10 million. I see $10 million for Bitcoin in the next 20 years. I think that is very, very likely. I see a 100x on Bitcoin in the next 20 years. And I think, you know, it's happened before. And I think it'll happen again, right, for Bitcoin. I think this is just an asset that is so undervalued. Less than 4% of American households own crypto. I did read that stat the other day. Very, very interesting. Looking to break out above this zone. Man, if we could get this 1 minute flag to pump a lump, baby. And it's crazy. It's still low liquidity. This is Sunday night. But let's look back here. Hold on. I feel like there was a weekend in here, right? There was a weekend. Oh, it was right here. Yeah, the Saturday, Sunday, we got the pump. Where was the all-time high break last time? I'd have to look on a different chart here. I'll do that another time. But yeah, I was just theorizing. But the weekend, it's very interesting that this is happening on a weekend, right? Going on into the Asian trading session. Like if the Asian trading session does leave, look at that. Bullish engulfing, followed by a bearish engulfing, bullish engulfing, almost bearish engulfing, followed by a bullish engulfing. This is absolute insane price action for BTC. Man, the altcoins are just not responding with that love, are they? Lackluster pumps comparatively. Man, come on, Sui, get that move, baby. Get that move to the upside. That's what we want to see. Virtual's doing okay. Farcoin taking the lead here in the last hour or so. All right, everybody. All right, we caught up to the chat. Much love to each and every single one of you guys. The weekly candle close is closing soon. Oh, man. In about 30 minutes or so. Hey, everybody, this will be the highest weekly candle close that we've ever had for Bitcoin. That's crazy. That's crazy. Much love to each and every single one of you for hanging out here with me on this Sunday night. I'll be back at it tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you guys aren't already, give me a follow over on X, baby, at BOYCECRYPTO102. Keep up to me with my trades, my ideas, and my insights on the market in real time as I go throughout the day whenever I'm not live. I appreciate all the new people that have hopped on in to the chat, baby. You guys are absolutely awesome. Tomorrow we're going to be doing a giveaway on the channel. We're going to be giving away some Boys Crypto merch, baby, some shirts, some koozies, things of that nature. So that'd be super awesome if you guys could come on in and hang out. Thank you for hanging out with me tonight. Much love to each and every single one of you. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. We're going to go at it tomorrow hard on Monday, baby. We're going to look at the market action. We got New York opening. We don't have a lot of news events or anything coming on in this week, but tonight could be a historic night for BTC. Keep up to date with me on my Twitter at BOYCECRYPTO102. Drop the like, hit the subscribe button if you guys liked it, and tick the bell for notifications. Much love, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. Boys Crypto is out, baby. We are out. Thanks to all the new people that are hanging out here. I hope to see you guys again. I hope to see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night.